So, what are the benefits and the challenges of using data to drive decisions in e-commerce?
Perfect. Just before I actually move on to this one, I'd love to touch on the mini programs release that happened yesterday within the Shopify Editions piece as well, which I think has kind of flown under the radar with a lot of the commentary that I've seen online with it. The mini programs essentially will enable you to build your own app within the Shop app itself. So a lot of it maybe Apple or developers or Shopify app developers who might have missed the initial boat of building for Shopify when it wasn't the absolute monster it is today, can get in on this kind of second wave of what I think would be a massive opportunity. Mini programs as a whole, particularly again, if we look towards China, WeChat has built their whole business on, I suppose, executing a really, really big mini WeChat mini program strategy. Sorry, it's a bit of a tongue twister there. I think if we go over to China, there's over 1.2 billion people logging into WeChat every day. Over 50% of them are making purchases through these mini programs. So I think there's a massive opportunity there to build new mini programs within the Shop app. And that kind of ties back to the last point there on the VR and on the AR. Before we came on there, I was having a look at some of the examples that were listed. You can see beauty brands, you can see furniture brands. They're all leveraging that AR and that, well, yeah, mainly that AR at the moment, but I can only imagine that will morph into a VR down the line as well. But I think there's a massive opportunity there with the Shopify mini programs release to see how it develops over the coming year.
Absolutely. I would say also we have like some really a challenge of using this data to drive decision in e-commerce. I think data privacy concerns. So collecting and using customer data can raise concerns about privacy and security, which can impact the customer trust in e-commerce businesses. Do you agree?
Definitely. I suppose my biggest challenges from our family business in, I suppose, the challenges, but also the benefits in using customer data. Like our family business would have been built predominantly on search engine optimization as opposed to the main go-to-market strategies for brands today, which is a bit of SEO, but predominantly paid advertising and working with influencers and creators. So the SEO strategy was just because we were so worried that paid advertising wasn't really a thing back then, as much, nowhere near to the level that it is today, obviously. Yeah, we built the business up for a good number of years. It was quite difficult then. Again, I would only be helping out. I suppose in my time at Shopify, what I was doing was trying to pull the operational expenses of running the business, maybe the core Shopify KPIs, so not just your sales, but your returning customer rate, your average order value, your checkout rates, your abandoned cart rates, all that kind of thing, your Google Analytics, your Facebook ads, your Google ads, your Klaviyo Analytics. I mean, today, if you're running an e-commerce store, you could be pulling scattered data from nearly 20 different sources. The growing list of platforms that you have to integrate with is it's ever increasing, unfortunately. So what I was doing was actually bringing that onto a single line of a spreadsheet each week. It was painfully manual. It would probably take two hours on a Monday evening. But what I did see was the value that my mother would get out of actually having this data at her fingertips. And when we touch on, I suppose, the benefits of using data to drive decisions, in my house, my dad is the accountant. But I suppose it's probably how we got into actually launching Store Hero, where I did see an issue where often my advice would be, okay, we need to increase the ad spend this week. And I would bring this to him and he would say, well, ROAS doesn't tell me this, it doesn't tell me that. It doesn't take into account cost of goods, doesn't take into account any operational expenses. And initially I was thinking, oh, maybe he just doesn't get it. But then when you actually dive into it, I realized he was spot on. ROAS doesn't really tell you a whole lot. And I think the growth levers that brands might have had at their fingertips over the last number of years, CPM is incredibly cheap, really cost effective. You put more money into the jukebox and the orders came in being paid advertising. And you didn't really need to be as dialed in on your unit economics, I suppose, of your paid advertising, because the returns on investment, the ROAS was so high. But I think post iOS 14, post all the privacy policies you kind of touched on there as well, ads have got infinitely more expensive, and brands that know their numbers, that really have a firm handle on their data, are the ones that are going to not only survive but also thrive in 2023. So I think it's more important than ever to understand your data, to have a good handle on it, to be tracking it regularly, and to understand your unit economics and where you're profitable and where you're not.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. Thank you very much. Another, big challenge, which is integration. Okay, I think integrating data from multiple sources can be challenging and time-consuming, and may require specialized skills and resources. So, how can we deal with this big, challenge? Yeah.
Absolutely. There's a number of different ways to look at it, I suppose. It's probably why we've launched Store Hero in the way we have. Sorry, if you just pop yourself on mute there. Sorry, I don't mean to keep saying that. So with Store Hero, what we've done is built a profit-first analytics platform to enable business owners to make data-driven decisions on everything that's going on in their business. So we've combined all your data from your Shopify, your Google Analytics, your Search Console, your Google Ads, your Facebook ads, your TikTok ads. We are platform agnostic, so we do hook into any of the other major e-commerce platforms as well. But I suppose we've built the platform on four core pillars. So data, analytics, insights, and recommendations. So with the data element, what we do is enable you to, for the first time, compile your data from all your multiple scattered sources into a single dashboard. And we also enable you to input your cost structure into Store Hero. From there, in the analysis piece, we, for the first time, kind of crunched all the data, crunched the numbers, and actually give you, in clear, legible, easy to understand dashboards, what's going on from a profitability point of view, from an e-commerce point of view, from a marketing point of view, and from a finance point of view. From there, I think, is where it gets really interesting in the insights and recommendations piece. So the insights and recommendations piece is where we're going to actually automate, recommend insights and recommendations. For instance, okay, we look at your Facebook ROAS. Your Facebook ROAS has increased or decreased by 20% this week. So we give you a framework for every data point on the platform. So we give you your insight, your definition as to what the metric is, and also some recommendations on what you could potentially do to improve that. So I think it's a really, really valuable tool, because, like you kind of touched on there, integrations is such an issue because there is so many out there now. And it's not that business owners don't understand the data, they definitely do, but having it scattered across so many different places, it's getting more and more increased. It's more and more difficult, really, to actually understand your own business and what you've left at the end of the day. Because obviously, with inflation and the price of ads going up, e-commerce, by its nature, it's not traditional at all. So it's I think it's really important to have a centralized kind of source of truth to make kind of objective business decisions on how to ultimately improve your profitability.
Fantastic.